Hi everyone and welcome to the Artflow channel. My name is Ross and this is a comprehensive guide on color theory for graphic design. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of color, an essential element that impacts every aspect of visual communication. Whether you're creating digital artwork, designing websites, working on brand identities, or even exploring photography, understanding color is fundamental to your success. As beginners in graphic design, you might find color choices overwhelming. With the millions of possible combinations at your fingertips, how do you know which ones work together? How do you create harmony rather than chaos? That's exactly what we'll explore in this video. Before we begin, I'd like to share a quick thought. Color is not just a technical aspect of design, it's a powerful emotional and psychological tool. Studies show that color can affect mood, perception, and even consumer behavior. As designers, we're not just arranging pretty hues, we're communicating through a visual language that everyone understands intuitively. Before we talk about artistic applications, let's understand what color actually is. Although it might seem like color is an inherent property of objects, that an apple is red, the reality is quite different. Back in 1704, Sir Isaac Newton conducted groundbreaking experiments with light. By passing white light through a prism, he split it into a spectrum of colors, the rainbow we all know. More importantly, by using a second prism, he could recombine these colors back into white light, proving that the color is a property of light itself, not objects. What's happening is this: when light hits an object, certain wavelengths get absorbed while others are reflected. The reflected wavelengths are what we perceive as the object's color. Without light, there is no color. What's even more fascinating is how our eyes detect color. We have two types of photoreceptor cells: rods, responsible for vision in low light conditions but don't detect color, and cones, three types that respond primarily to red, green, or blue light. The trichromatic vision is why RGB works as a color model for screens. It mirrors the biological basics of our perception. People with color vision deficiencies typically have an abnormality in one of those cone types, changing how they perceive certain colors. And with infinite colors in the spectrum, artists and designers need an organized system. This is where the color wheel comes in as a visual representation that helps us understand color relationships. There are many variations of color wheels, each designed for specific purposes, and the most common for beginners is the RYB, red, yellow, blue, wheel with 12 colors, often called as Johannes Itten color wheel. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Secondary colors orange, green, and purple. And tertiary colors are combinations like red, orange, yellow, green, etc. This wheel also helps us categorize colors as warm, such as reds, oranges, yellows, or cool, blues, greens, purples. For digital design specifically, you'll often work with the RGB, meaning red, green, blue color model, which is additive, meaning these colors combine to create white light, as in your computer screen. There is also the CMYK model, cyan, magenta, yellow, black, a subtractive model used in print where colors combine towards black like in real life. Understanding these different models is crucial when designing across media. A vibrant blue on your RGB screen might print as much duller color in CMYK. This phenomenon, called gamut mismatch, explains why print designs sometimes look different than expected. Professional designers account for this by using color management system and Pantone matching for precise color reproduction. To talk precisely about color in design, we need vocabulary beyond just hue names. Color has three fundamental properties: hue, the actual color itself, red, blue, green, etc., saturation, the intensity of or purity of the color from fully saturated to gray, And value or brightness, the lightness or darkness of a color. In digital design, this is often expressed as the HSV or HSB color model. Understanding these dimensions gives you precise control over your color choices and help you communicate about color more effectively. Let's explore each dimension with concrete examples. Hue. Imagine a pure red. Shifting the hue means moving around the color wheel through orange, yellow, green, etc., while maintaining the same brightness and saturation. Saturation, take that same pure red and gradually reduce its saturation. At 100, saturation is vibrant red, 50% is muted pinkish red, 0 becomes grayscale, specifically mid-gray if the value remains unchanged. Value brightness, starting again with the pure red, adjusting the value creates darker or lighter versions, increase the value to 100 and you approach white, decrease to 0 and you reach black. Different creative fields sometimes use different terminology for the same color concepts, which can be confusing for multidisciplinary designers. Painters often talk about tints, adding white, shades, adding black, and tones, adding gray. Photographers discuss color temperature measured in kelvins. And UI designers might reference accent colors and neutrals. Printer refers to spot colors versus process colors. While the underlying concept remains the same, being familiar with the field-specific terminology helps you communicate effectively across disciplines. For instance, when a photographer talks about warm 3200 Kelvin light, they're describing what a painter must call yellow-orange illumination. Now for the exciting part. How do we combine colors effectively? Color harmony refers to arrangement of colors that feel balanced and aesthetically pleasing. Let's explore some classic harmony patterns. The first one is monochromatic harmony. Using a single hue with variations in brightness and saturation creates a clean, elegant look. This approach is excellent for beginners because it's nearly impossible to create discord. It teaches you to work with the contrast and form without the complexity of multiple hues. Real-world example is Apple product page. They often use monochromatic schemes, a dark gray to light gray to white background progression with the product images as focal points. This creates an elegant, minimal aesthetics, where the product stands out. Now, analogous harmony. This involves using 2 to 3 colors that sit adjacent to each other on the color wheel, like blues and greens. Analogous schemes create a sense of cohesion and often feel serene or unified. They work well when you want a harmonious feel without strong contrast. As an example, we can take a look at National Geographic's branding because it uses an analogous yellow-orange scheme that evokes warmth, sunlight, and exploration. This color choice reinforces their identity as nature and exploration publication. And arguably the most popular harmony in visual arts is Complementary Harmony. This uses colors from opposite sides of the color wheel: blue and orange, red and green, or purple and yellow. These pairing create a maximum contrast and visual excitement. This approach is widely used in film, photography, and digital art because our brain responds positively to these contrasting combinations. The magic of complementary colors is that they enhance each other. Orange makes blue appear more vibrant, and vice versa. This is why you'll see this pattern everywhere, from movie posters to video games. Sports teams often choose complementary colors like the Lakers purple and yellow for maximum visibility and impact. The next one is split complementary harmony, a variation of complementary harmony where you use one color and 2 colors adjacent to its complement. For instance, using blue with yellow-orange and red-orange. This provides high contrast but with more nuance than pure complementary pairs. Burger King branding used split complementary scheme for red, orange, yellow, and a touch of blue in their logo and restaurant design. This creates energy complementary contrast while offering more visual variety than a simple 2-color scheme. Now, let's talk about Triadic Harmony. This involves 3 colors equally spaced around the color wheel, like red, yellow, and blue. Triadic schemes offer vibrant contrast while maintaining balance. Artists have used this approach for centuries, and it remains effective in contemporary design. And the last one is tetradic, or double complementary harmony. Using 2 complementary pairs create a rich, varied palette with lots of possibilities. For example, blue-orange plus red and green. This approach offers maximum versatility but requires careful balancing of dominant and supporting colors. Here's a tip for you. When working with the tetradic schemes, try making one complementary pair more dominant and use the other pair as accents. This creates clear hierarchy while maintaining the same energy of complementary relationships. While we've been discussing hue combinations, I need to emphasize something crucial: tonal contrast, or differences in value. They're even more important than the color harmony, and here's why. Imagine watching a film where all color information was removed. You could still follow the narrative through the black and white image, but now imagine watching if all tonal information was removed, leaving only color, uniform brightness. The image would be incomprehensible. Our visual system depends on value contrast to understand shapes, depth, and form. A color composition with perfect hue harmony but poor value contrast will fail, while even limited palette with a strong color contrast can be striking. Approximately 8% of men have some kind of color vision deficiency. When you rely primarily on hue differences rather than value contrast, you'll potentially create designs that are difficult for these individuals to use. Good value contrast ensures your design remain functional and accessible. When you're troubleshooting a design that doesn't work, check your value contrast first. Convert your image to grayscale. Does it still read clearly? If not, your value structure needs adjustment regardless of your color choices. A common mistake beginners make is adding white to create lighter areas in colored element, and this often produces a lifeless, chalky effect. Instead, consider color temperature. When moving from darker to lighter areas, remember, red tones should shift towards orange and then yellow. Green tones should incorporate yellow highlights. Blue tones should transition to cyan and turquoise before reaching white. This approach mimics how light behaves in nature. Think of fire. It transitions from red to orange to yellow to white as temperature increases. Following these natural transitions create more vibrant and believable images. Great artists rarely use perfectly uniform colors. Even when depicting a seemingly solid colored object, they introduce subtle temperature variations, alternating between slightly warmer and cooler tones. These techniques, sometimes called warm-cool contrast, creates a visual interest and a sense of life within color areas. Even in monochromatic pieces, introducing slight tonal variation makes the work appear more dynamic and less digital or mechanical. This approach has been used since the imperfectionist era and remains relevant in digital design today. Another key principle in color proportion is equal amounts of contrasting colors create confusion and visual tension. Instead, use dominant accent relationship. Choose a dominant color that will occupy the majority of your composition. Use your secondary color as accents in smaller proportions. Consider adding transitional or neutral tones to a bridge between elements. This creates visual hierarchy that helps the viewer's eye navigate through design. In film and photography, this often manifests as large areas of supporting colors with the strategic placement of dominant accent colors to draw attention. The 60-30-10 rule. A common design guideline suggests using 60% of your primary color, often a neutral or less saturated color, 30% of your secondary color, and 10% of an accent color, often the most vibrant or contrasting color. This proportion creates balance while maintaining the visual interest. Look at interior design magazines. You'll frequently see this distribution in well-designed spaces. Now remember, Colors don't exist in isolation, they are always perceived in relation to surrounding colors. The same exact color can appear different depending on its environment. This means a gray might look warm next to blue, but cool next to orange. A yellow might appear more orange when surrounded by green. A neutral tone can take on qualities of complementary colors to its surroundings. This phenomenon is not just an optical illusion, it's a fundamental aspect of how our visual system works. Understanding color contexts help you create more sophisticated color relationship and control the viewer's perception. Joseph Albert's influence, the book Interaction of Color by Joseph Albers, revolutionized how artists and designers understand color relationship. Albers demonstrated that our perception of color is highly relative. The same color chip can appear completely different depending on its surroundings. And when selecting background colors for text or UI elements, remember that contrast is contextual. Light gray that perfectly readable on white background might disappear when placed on a slightly darker background. Beyond visual harmony, colors carry powerful cultural associations and psychological effects that vary across societies. For example, red signifies luck and happiness in China, but danger or passion in Western cultures, while white represents purity in Western wedding traditions, but mourning in many Eastern cultures. And for the purple, historically associated with the royalty due to the expense of purple dye. Also, don't forget about blue, often perceived as trustworthy and professional in business context. As global designers, we must be aware of these cultural differences. A color scheme that works perfectly for one audience might send unintended messages to another. Brands strategically use color to trigger emotional responses. Fast food chains often use red and yellow, such as McDonald's, Burger King, to stimulate appetite and urgency. Financial institutions, on the other hand, frequently use blue, Visa, PayPal to evoke trust and security. Luxury brands often employ black, gold, and purple to signify exclusivity. When designing for commercial purposes, these associations become important strategic considerations beyond aesthetics. As you advance in your design career, you'll encounter the challenge of color consistency across different media and devices. For example, sRGB versus Adobe RGB. Most consumer displays use the sRGB color space, which has a limited gamut. Professional displays often support wider gamuts like Adobe RGB or DCI-P3, showing colors that might not be reproduced correctly on consumer devices. Also, we have print considerations, because converting RGB designs to CMYK for print often results in color shifts, particularly in vibrant blues and greens. Professional designers account for this by following tips. First, using color palettes appropriate to their output medium. Second, performing soft proofing to preview color shifts. Third, working with the printers to create custom color profiles. And also, they could use specifying Pantone colors for critical brand elements. Also, we have device fragmentation. The same website may appear differently on various phones, tablets, and monitors due to display calibration differences. And this is why testing design across multiple devices is critical. Like any skill, color perception and application improve with deliberate practice. For example, daily color studies. Spend 5 to 10 minutes daily mixing colors or creating small color composition. Quick, frequent practice builds color intuition more effectively than occasional long sessions. Second, color matching exercise. Try to match colors you see in nature or your environment exactly. This trains your eye to perceive subtle differences in hue, saturation, and value. Also, master studies. Analyze the color schemes of designs you admire, break them down into their component colors and relationship, then apply similar principles to your work. And remember the key takeaways. First, color is a property of light, not objects. Second, value contrast is even more important than hue selection. Third, color harmonies provide frameworks for pleasing combinations. Fourth, temperature variations create life and movement within colors. Fifth, Proportional color use creates a visual hierarchy. 6. Context affects how we perceive every color. And culture, associations, and psychological response influence how color communicates. Practice looking for these principles in the world around you and in designs you admire. Start simple with limited palettes and gradually expand your color vocabulary. Soon, color will become one of your most powerful tools for communication and expression in graphic design. Thank you for joining me today on this colorful journey. I hope this gives you confidence to experiment with the color in your own creative work. And if you found this video useful, subscribe, hit the like button and ring the notification bell, because only in that way you'll never miss new videos on our channel. Thank you for watching, stay creative, and see you in the next one. Bye.